Hi, welcome to the House of Enneagram, where we do stuff about things.
Yeah.
Talk about the Enneagram in arts and culture, philosophy, psychology,
Plumbing.
plumbing. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole range of different characters come to give all types of perspective and aspects on things like plumbing. Yeah.
That's you're referring to a whole range of characters just within me.
It's just,
Right. Besides,
exactly.
yeah, besides, yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And today, specifically, we're talking about Dead Ringers.
Dead Ringers, the series with Rachel Weisz, ladies and gentlemen, where she plays exact twins as only a singular actor or actress could.
Yes.
They really are dead ringers for each
Yes.
other. And
Yeah.
she do you agree? I think we concurred on it that she's like spot on playing a 7-wing 6 and a 9-wing 1.
Oh my God. It's like the most accurate
It's amazing.
ever. I just even want to
Yeah.
say, because we could talk about like the premise. I don't know if you want me to just like do an overview or if you want to
Yeah.
describe it.
No,
Because,
you could do that. Yeah. Whichever.
but I mean, yeah, okay, I'll do that first. So I guess we should put spoiler alerts on
True.
here
Yeah.
because there's no way we're gonna keep secrets of what
That's
happens
right.
in the show.
Yeah.
But I mean, essentially, it's Rachel Weisz plays two characters and they're twin gynecologists, and they decide to the nine wing one, who is okay. Wait, what's their names? It's Elliot
That's
and
Beverly.
Beverly. Okay,
And
yeah,
then Elliot is the 7,
yeah.
sometimes called Ellie.
Yeah, so Beverly, the Nine Wing One, has this vision for a like new women's health or birthing
Birthing
center.
center. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Because it starts at the beginning, it's the two of them working at sort of just a regular hospital. And you're
mhm,
seeing kind of all the at least some of the major bad things that happen because of just, inattentive care and sort of not listening. It's almost like a 9-wing 1 thing. Like,
yeah,
like that one woman who dies, in that first episode early, uh, who like bled to death or whatever. She was
mhm,
trying to get in there to and sort of intercepts from the doctor who was maybe assigned to that woman's health or whatever.
mhm.
And then she ends up dying. And then I think there's like a miscarriage thing that happens
Yeah.
also.
There's like all different kinds of like perspectives on how fucked up the healthcare system is for women,
Right,
especially women's health in general, but
right.
especially during giving birth and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like what propels the 911 Beverly to be like,
Yeah,
I want one where it's actually run well
yeah,
and treats women kindly and is
right.
attentive to their needs, very nine,
And
gives
it
them a
and
good holding environment.
yeah, no, and it hits you too because like one thing they're hammering on in that whole first part where there all these different bad things are happening is that, well, I mean, this is, the the miracle of life and a woman expectant of and wanting, whatever to do that whole journey and so
Hmm.
forth. And then death happens and there's nothing in a regular hospital for that whole psychological emotional thing, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. And so it's very 911 that she wants to, it's, the gut center experiential kind of thing. She wants a whole other environment, which you then see maybe in the second or third episode where
Hmm.
when the birthing center is built.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see how she interacts with the woman and so forth. And the other thing too, besides the birthing center, is that the 7 twin sister is like a mad scientist.
Hmm.
What do you call it? Like doing reproductive, doing stuff like
Like,
yeah,
oh, how do I actually like grow a child
grow
instead
a
of
child
skip the birthing
in a
process.
petri dish. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and she's experimenting with going further and further in increments of certain number of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like a baby that's a fetus that's 6 weeks old or whatever, and yeah.
We could
Anyway,
take them out
and
and continue the growth. Yeah.
right, right, and so the ideal thing then is this tandem, science piece, and birthing center. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's why I was gonna say, like, with their types, Beverly, the nine wing one, so perfectly a nine wing one, and Elliot being a seven wing six, like Beverly is so focused on the environment, and she keeps coming back to that, and that's like her whole
Mhm.
um like conflict internally and externally throughout the entire show is like, how do I get this environment to be the most like godly harmonious
Mhm.
place, and everyone's comfortable, everything's happening in such a way that no one has
Yeah.
anything to worry about, and they can just be in this natural process. And for Elliot being like seven wing six, I mean, first off, like, nailed it. The
Oh,
fact that
completely.
she could play both of them was incredible,
Yeah.
because I have like overall kind of a hard time typing fictional characters,
Hmm. Hmm.
because there's like so many aspects of type that go into just the writing of one character, and
Yep.
they don't always portray the best. But for her, is like the seven wings, it was so obvious.
No, I mean, it was amazing down to all kinds of little things. Like, one thing you see with sevens a lot, for example, is like just all kinds of oral stuff,
Yes.
like having two drinks and two straws, and and Elliot's constantly, you know, uh, just like gorging on things,
Yes.
and insatiable and
Yes.
can't get enough, and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, and for her part too, being this kind of mad scientist thing, it is very much like the innovation of Seven in the Head Center,
that's right.
where
Yeah.
it's like, how do we make things better? How do we
Mhm.
really go past like the limitations of things, and
Right.
like not even really caring about the consequences of that, or like the logical
Hmm.
things that happen in that sense. Like, sevens can have quite a I don't know, like a sort of a negation of the body in
Yeah.
general. Like, they're just like, yeah, fuck this
Well,
thing.
well, it's kind of like my overlaps thing, social sexual. So
Oh,
it's
right.
self-pres blind, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that thing. It's
Mhm.
non-reality, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you can see that that's like in her vision more. And so these two visions being in such a tension,
Mhm.
and then just as a nine wing one and a seven wing six as personalities being such, like, it's so tense. I think that
Oh
was
yeah.
like, some people may know, I know, that I grew up basically with a seven wing six,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
like that was probably the most accurate
Yeah.
representation I
Yeah.
have. I felt uncomfortable
Yeah.
the whole time, because it's like, that is so accurate. Like, a
Yeah.
nine wing one just trying so hard to contain,
Yeah.
and like,
Oh yeah.
be like in this
Not
harmonious,
be
like,
affected
not be
also.
affected,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, but all the while just everything's affecting you, and
Well,
like
and
seven
then
wing sex chaos.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, and not giving a shit about the chaos, which is crazy
Yes.
to the 9-wing-1 or whatever.
Yes.
But then, the major other piece that's between them, of course, is Beverly falling in love with that woman, the
Right.
actress, and the messy thing of Beverly's 9-wing-1ishly got a self image of whatever, a good person, or a kind person or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to but what happened, well, the dirty secret, so to speak, from the context of the 9-wing-1 is that uh, her her sister offered to get the girlfriend for her, right? So
Mm-hmm.
she put up her hair in a tight bun like Beverly does, so she looks like the 9-wing-1, and then she goes to the bar and kisses her, and then I think there was some other thing that happened. I can't remember what it was, but
I think she just like invited her or like
oh
said that
yeah,
I'll
it was
be
at a
here
party.
at some point. Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, and that really was a part of, so to speak, getting the new girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
um, and but it's interesting too because there was one scene where they were doing the switch. This was early on with that actress. The the girlfriend is an actress on TV in the
Mm-hmm.
series,
Mm-hmm.
um, and uh, they're done up like the Switch version, right? But the actress, they're falling for each other just really fast, and the actress actually goes up to the one that is looks like is Ellie, the seven,
Mm-hmm.
and because she kind of, what I got from that is she just sensed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like in her body or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She
So
knew.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and I find that whole, like, even just right from the start, I mean, you think sevens being an assertive type as well, that nines are withdrawn. So assertiveness is quite a shadow. I mean, the whole thing is they're shadows of each other.
Right.
And one of the things I saw in that too throughout the entire series is like just how much Beverly is doing the 911 thing of like, nines and body types have a really big attention to their autonomy
Mm-hmm.
and their choices, but being a withdrawn body type, it's like you don't realize how much you're kind of disowning your own choices
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
things,
Right.
and you're kind of just blaming everything on the outside world and like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is all just happening to me
Yeah.
and it's like, out of my control and
Right.
that kind of thing. And it's just that is like one of the biggest tensions throughout the
Yeah.
entire series is how much Beverly is refusing to admit that any of this was her choice.
Right.
um and like even to the point where the characters towards the end are like, the other characters in the series are like trying to like hound on her for her choices or
Right.
blame her sister, or
Yeah.
get her to blame the
Yeah.
sister. Like they're all trying to disown their own choices, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, no
Yeah.
accountability and no actual personal autonomy.
Right. So then, yeah. Well, before going to the next thing, I was going to, the thing with the girlfriend. Well, Beverly, the nine wing one, starts falling in love with this woman, and they're
Mm-hmm.
both like really falling in love. And the seven, uh, Elliot, becomes like psychosexually jealous in a really intense way
Yes.
because Beverly apparently hadn't ever had someone that she'd fallen for this much.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like, I could see correctly typing uh, Elliot as having a two fix, maybe, possibly.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Maybe like a seven wing six with maybe even 8 and 2 or something. Who knows? But
Yeah,
yeah,
I could see
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, it's also always got the complication of that the original, hook was Elliot and not Beverly. But anyway, where I was going to is just the other whole piece of, one of the other big characters or sort of conglomerate of characters is the wealthy woman and her
Mm-hmm.
whole family who got wealthy, from what is it, the some kind of opioid.
Oh,
um,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. Oh,
That's where
what's
their
that
money comes
family?
from, and
Mm-hmm.
that's who Beverly and Beverly and Elliot have like an agent who's trying to help them. It's something like an agent trying to help them court people that have big money, and this
Mm-hmm.
family is like big, 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 and
Yeah.
and so, well, all kinds of amazing things as far as just acting and just emotional tension and so forth happen in all of that. But to your point about that lack of agency thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the woman who's the main money person of the family, is like an aggressive, straight shooter, cynical, um, business person.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's at least a couple of times that she's saying to Beverly as they're, sort of in different stages of the romance of a possible serious business relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and well, and that woman, the wealthy woman, is saying, "Do you want this?"
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
keeps saying that. Do you actually want this? And
Right.
Beverly's like, just classic nine, just yes, yeah, yes, yeah, and like she really wants it actually,
Mm-hmm.
like she's actually angry about what happens in the regular hospital, and furious, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that. um well, I'm just thinking of it now, and I'm throwing in writer's embellishment here, but you think of the like a classic nine thing is to uh get aggressive and like really show up when someone else is being bullied. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
classic story, that you hear about from 911s,
Mm-hmm. I have
especially.
some. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like that's when the whole thing just turns on, and it's almost
Yeah.
like they're a different person. Is
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing? So I'm putting that into the realm of like how these women are pregnant women are treated, in the whole hospital, Western
Yeah,
medicine
she
system.
gets kind of like a, I mean, one of the big things that you see throughout all of it too is like, well, she gets this kind of like savior complex with her
Hmm.
anger, like she's gonna save, but she doesn't realize like how kind of I don't know, it's like the trope where it's like you try to do a good thing, but like don't realize how inherently kind of evil everything is
Sure.
anyway. And there's no like real good deed
Hmm.
out there, essentially, like no innocently good. And I think it's like Nine Wing Ones have that sort of attachment to some kind of innocence
Right.
in something, like buried underneath something, in social dynamics or lifestyles or whatever, and
It's like
she
a
kind of has that the whole time.
yeah. It's like a romanticization
Yeah.
of I don't know, some kind of way of being or behavior or something like
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah, so even the fact that she's using these people, like she has this inner kind of battle of accepting this family's money and
mhm.
stuff like that, but she does it, like cuz she
Yeah,
does want it, and she's not like admitting her own like shadow qualities of accepting something like that and making a choice. So I
yeah.
think she doesn't, she like essentially blame it on Ellie then anyway for
What
like
blame what?
pressuring her to accept the family's money, because Ellie kind of like throws a fit and whatever, and then she decides yes, okay,
Yeah,
and it kind of becomes like, oh, because she threw a
yeah. That's
fit,
right.
I can
That's
now
right.
blame this decision
There
on
you go.
her.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
yeah,
You're right. And
yeah,
then
and that's like
also
all
too,
throughout it.
yeah, and then also they eventually, actually it's pretty early on, maybe like in the third episode or so, they've built this incredible facility. I mean, it's it's a, you know something that would have cost a couple hundred million or something
Oh yeah.
probably, and including the amazing environments for a woman to give birth, and there's a great whole scene or segment that gets spliced through that one of those episodes where a woman's you know uh, just about to give birth, and Beverly's you know in the room with her. The room is it's almost like some kind of carpeted living room thing, but it's just it's not hospital sterile,
Hmm.
and so forth. And you see her doing, you know, the sort of just natural thing, you might say, of Nine Wing One in terms of sort of knowing what to do. I mean, this woman's like right now about to give birth, and she's hurting, and she needs to be checked on and cared for and so forth. And it's just her and Beverly in that room, and Beverly's just staying 10 feet away from her. So it's like, it's completely different from that whole sort of Western invasive, you know,
Mm-hmm.
shoot her up with this and okay, let's get an IV, da, 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 all that shit. It's like very quiet. And, I think there's even like in that room, there's a window that has a really good mock up of, nature,
Yeah,
forest, and,
it's
and
like
so forth.
simulated
Yeah,
nature.
yeah, exactly. It's all of that kind of stuff. And, as this, at the intro or the beginning of that, whole process with that woman, at some point, uh, Beverly says, "Is this okay? Do you want somebody else?" And then the woman says, "No, only you." Like she doesn't want anybody else, right? And so it's
Yeah.
just the two of them after that. And so, I mean, there's, it's got the mix, right, of all of this compromise with the opioid rich family, but actually then doing something like that has that kind of body type soothing beauty and experiential
Mm-hmm.
comfort and all of that stuff. And it happens to be, I think, that either just after or yeah, like just after the actual birth, then Beverly's girlfriend comes in, happens
Mm-hmm.
to be touring the birthing facility and sees what she's done, and that woman wants to have a baby together with Beverly. So
Right.
yeah, so that was another
Mm-hmm.
piece. Anyway,
Yeah, and that causes all kinds of drama then too. That's why, like, yeah, with Ellie, the 7 wing 6, and her strange attachment to Beverly's relationship and stuff like that. Like,
mm,
um even just with Beverly leaving for like 2-3 days and
yeah,
her just going into this crazy spiral where she like thinks
oh yeah,
she
that was
hallucinates a
amazing.
woman. Yeah, like that's it's just so, I mean, you also kind of get the sense of where this all stems from when their parents come to visit as well,
Yeah, yeah,
that it's like, I mean, the 7 and the stereotypical kind of like mothering issue,
hmm,
that like, her twin kind of became her mother in a way because
right,
both of their mothers, like, well, their mother is not available, and you find that out
not available.
throughout, they kind of go through scenes where um it's the past of their mom, and
Yeah,
she openly admits after a while that she just can't do it. It was a young
hmm,
pregnancy, a young marriage
yeah.
kind of thing, and she's just like, I don't want to do this. So you can tell like the
She didn't want to be
detachment.
a mother at all. Basically, is
Yes,
what it
yeah,
boils down to. Yeah,
yeah, and like in
for the twins. Yeah,
a social context like this, you can see how it all is just a domino effect of mothers actually being absent. Because even though
that's
the
right.
birthing center, like you're saying, is she's trying so hard to make like a really good environment and protective and listening
Hmm.
to the woman, like when it's born out of like a death mother itself, like it's just going to be rotten
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly right.
And so
Also,
like they're growing up with a mother that automatically from the get-go didn't want them
oh yeah,
and yet continued to raise them.
yeah,
You see the psychological issues, like they never grew up. And you
yep.
get even like it's that, when the whole family's together, they're just instantly back into like childhood
Yeah,
dynamics.
yeah.
And, these adult people are just fighting like kids.
It
But
was.
yeah, the 7 like really wanting like care and
Hmm,
love,
hmm,
but and projecting it into Beverly, and her
yep.
just having to like feel the responsibility of that, but then
Hmm.
that makes her forget her own needs as a
That's
9.
right. That's right.
Like that kind of tension was just like,
And
okay,
that,
someone here knew a 9 and a 7 that
oh
this
yeah,
happened
no.
to.
And then
Like
there's
this is
the
too realistic.
and the other thing. I mean, there's all these major, intersecting pieces. Like one of the things that's going on is that the 7 is basically, I mean, it's almost like they're having sex in a certain way, that the 7
Right.
is injecting either fertilized eggs or a man's sperm into Beverly, because
Mm,
they're both at least at the early part of the series, they're they're wanting Beverly the nine to be pregnant, to get pregnant or whatever, and she
right.
keeps having miscarriages.
Yeah.
And so that's another interesting metaphor or whatever of this whole psychosexual insanity between the two of them.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, and the other thing too, back to the parents for a second, is what's a it's a really interesting, I don't know, iteration of parents that are cold but are ostensibly absolutely decent and friendly in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes them even colder,
Yeah.
and more, just it makes the whole thing more horrifying because they're just sort of average okie dokie kind of people. uh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, they're completely missing anything. Like
They're, yeah,
literally
it's just
the
like, where are you?
entire
Yeah.
violent chaos going on between your twins is
Yeah.
just like nothing to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's even worse.
And then there's the other piece, kind of major, is the Asian woman who is Beverly, and
Oh my god, I forgot about
yeah,
that.
and Elliot's,
Greta.
yeah, Greta, who's their, well, it's she's kind of a housekeeper, but it's more
Hmm.
like a personal assistant, a
Hmm.
chef, a shopper, a dog sitter, knows
Right.
everything about them. And that's one of those, there's been some movies or whatever, TV shows, or where you have a person who's in a servant job, but they very much have a will of their own. They're not, the
Yeah.
personality style is not, it's not automatically, whatever, genuflective or whatever. It's kind of
Hmm.
like if there was a little snippet of it is in Silence of the Lambs, where did you have you seen that, where
Hmm.
they go to the the storage? It's just a little short thing, but where they go to that storage bin with that old guy. He's a rich old guy who's got a chauffeur, and
Hmm.
Jodie Foster can't get the thing open, and asks if the driver can help, and the rich guy says, "Oh, my driver detests physical labor." It's that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
they give
like
them like
like it's a
little.
person who's a servant. They
Yeah.
you expect, oh yeah, I'll get out and help, right? but
Yeah,
but
but no,
no,
there's
but no,
something
yeah. And
about
then the
them.
fact that the I don't know, that the person in power, or the wealthy person, also keeps them. You know what I mean? I mean,
Hmm.
like that's not a, um well, it's just interesting, the dynamic of all of that. And
Well, yeah, like you don't even realize what her
oops.
obsession is about things, like
Hmm.
about the twins. You don't like that is something kind of
Well,
like
so yeah,
offhand that is like pieced together throughout the series too.
that's a whole thing, right? Is
Yeah.
that, so throughout the whole series, uh, the what's her name? What was it? Greta? What did you say?
Greta, yeah.
Yeah, there are scenes where it's just her in their high rise condominium or whatever, and she's doing things like taking feminine hygiene products out of the wastebasket and putting them
Hmm.
in test tubes, and the music, the way they're doing the music, it sounds like something sinister is going on, and you
Hmm.
can't tell, and they keep making it a mystery. And the character is so, well, she's cold also, and uh, you know, yeah, you just get the sense that this person is doing something really nefarious on the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then it turns out she's just using it for like an art piece, like, and her art piece is an entire social commentary on mothers and like motherhood and,
exactly.
the
And and
pain
it
and suffering of not having a mother.
and it was all the whole thing was, yeah, building up to that. And it's actually, I think it was that her mother died giving birth to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing, like for example, one of the things that Greta is doing, you hear her listening to the answering machine when Ellie and Beverly's mother, hello girls, how are you?
Right.
Just that cold but friendly thing,
Yeah.
and Greta uses that in her live art piece.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so sort of the peak of that also is, I think it's actually her father that comes to
Yes.
the the performance at the end, and she has a beautiful weep emotional
Hmm.
breakdown. And so it's like complete you were completely manipulated
Hmm.
by what the way they depicted it and the music and
Yeah.
stuff, all
And
of
it
this.
turns out her story's probably like, towards the end the most wholesome, because
Yes.
it's an actual creative expression of like the
Yeah.
grief around mothers,
Yeah.
and she has that moment with her father, and like that's about it.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
Meanwhile, these two other people are like fucking up so many people's
Oh yeah.
lives because they're like just grieving,
Oh yeah.
secretly.
Well, and they're both, you could say both of the 7 and 9 characters are, um, you know, well, just as you inevitably would be, when you're at that edge of life coming out, it's you're, well, there's just nobody that could be, on one level, nobody that could be good enough to be there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? In a certain way,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like, and then on top, but then taking it further, you're seeing how fucked up these two people are, on
Hmm.
how fucked up their parents are. And so, welcome to the world, all you babies. You've got these fucked up people just right at the edge to welcome you in the door.
Yep.
And yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's rotten from the core, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fascinating. And that's why I think they did a really good job um with Beverly's character being a 9. I mean, like maybe I don't know, cuz I know the Enneagram or whatever, that watching a 9's like I could easily see where the 9 is in the wrong in a lot of places, like how she's
Oh yeah.
fucking it up for herself and blah blah
Hmm.
blah. But like I get the sense that in some other like fictional adaptations where they have like a 9 character, there's not as much careful attention in letting that character be a fuck up as well. Like
Right,
9s
right,
can be, because usually it's 9s writing 9s, so they're
right.
kind of glorifying that sense of innocence and that all of this is happening to me and like
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But I didn't get that sense at all from this
No,
show. Like I feel
no.
like they could really, it was so hard to, I
Right.
mean, first off, it was hard to feel bad for either of them, but then it was also hard to see like who to even blame, because like
Hmm.
both of them are just in a terrible situation to begin with,
Hmm.
and they're just like a symptom of something much
Oh
larger,
yeah.
which you see happening throughout the whole series in different ways. So it's like it's like, oh yeah, they nailed that. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
they could
No, what?
see personalities so objectively in that.
Yeah, it's what you're bringing up there is sort of similar to, well, like over the decades of being in the Enneagram. Of course, I've known or heard about or been, in some way acquaintances with different couples that are, for example, a 6 and a 9, right? And
Hmm.
it's like often it's the guy who's the 9 and the woman's a 6, and there's all kinds of um, subtle power that the 9 is doing behind closed doors,
Yes.
um, and in a way that you sort of can't catch them, or something. But also on top of that is that, in the general public with these couples, almost invariably, everyone thinks the 9 guy is just great. They just love him, and of course, and then you've got this 6 that's just freaking out because she knows the real story and she can't convince anyone, and she doesn't want to tell everyone because she doesn't want to tell everyone, that she's with a bad person
Yeah.
exactly, right? And it's this maddening thing, and it's like bringing the six one of the things they most fear, which is just like, well, they just don't want to be crazy, right?
Yes.
Like that's like that's the worst thing, right? And so
Yeah.
yeah, it's that whole thing of, so it's like what you're saying there is the part of the mastery of this series is that the nine isn't getting away with that stuff.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And I think it's because too, like, along why the nine always gets away with stuff is like it's built in your type structure to
yes,
like forget your own needs and like lift up the ones that you're around, or like
right,
highlight the ones that you're around and give to the, like, you just
yeah,
are abandoning your own autonomy a lot of the time, and people love that about
right,
you as a
exactly,
nine.
exactly.
they,
Oh,
they love it, and they don't think anything's wrong, because also too, yeah, the nine doesn't communicate any of it
right,
because it's neutralizing everything and making it seem, even to yourself, that everything is fine, and
yeah,
you're getting your needs
well,
met. You sometimes get angry a little bit
oh
over
yeah,
like whatever you
right,
feel justified for, but it's never that personal. It's always for
yeah.
like some other cause or something like that.
Well, it's also like one way to frame illustrate that is with my overlaps thing, where self-pres social is 8 and social self-pres is 1, and and then the elements, self-pres is earth and
Hmm.
social is air and sunlight. So air and sunlight upon earth makes hard, firm structures, right?
Yes,
And
right.
then sexual instinct is water and fire. Well, you can run your hand through water and run
Hmm.
your hand through fire, and they're moving
Yeah, you
typically.
can't hold it
You can't
really.
hold them
Yeah,
exactly. They're not objects. So that's symbolic of that whole thing of, sort of, you can't actually like pin something on the nine, like where are
right.
they? They're not they're not
Yeah, because
actually
they're
here.
not doing that for themselves either.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of the things that I realize as a nine is like, oh wait, I do have this preference or this need or whatever, and I'm like completely not even aware of it on my own.
Right, right, yeah. Just further accentuating, that overlaps pieces. It's, in the body center, right? So
Hmm.
you've got 8 and 1 that have these the elemental solidity, right? But then uh, 9 is fire and water, so it's liquid and it's synthesis and it's doing all of
Right.
this stuff as an existence, right? Like the
Hmm.
gut is existence itself. So it's
Right.
like I'm not here, or I'm always in a flux of forming and
Hmm.
never having fully baked because there's
Yeah.
nothing because there's nothing to bake. It's just the
Yeah.
fire and the water. So it's
Hmm.
not there's not ever going to be a thing. I mean, talking in the whatever, the abstract of the average health nine, I guess you'd say.
Right. Well, and I think that's why it's easier for nines to like become semi solid in like a cause or
Hmm.
another person or
Right.
something. Like it's easier to kind of disown your own um sense of self and autonomy when you're kind of like merged into something
Mhm.
else. So
Yeah.
like even with, you get that kind of like neuroses in Beverly throughout the series talking about this birthing center. Like you can feel as a viewer like there's something kind of like off about her talking about the cause and like what she's
Hmm.
doing,
Hmm.
and what, like there's something about this center that is inside of her that is not just about the center. Like it
Yes.
isn't
Yes.
just,
Sure.
like, and that you can kind of get from nines. Like
Hmm.
they put a part of themselves into something or someone else, and kind of like you can hear it in the way they're speaking about it, that it's like this is more than just the
Yeah.
thing that you're
Yeah.
talking about. But it feels so real because in the environment it's like, well, I'm here and that thing is over there. It's completely separate, but
Yeah.
like as a 9, it's not. You're like completely merged with it.
Oh yeah, no, well. It's like the 9 as the synthesis, right?
Yeah.
It's like another metaphor in the sexual instinct being on top of 9, overlaid on 9 in that overlaps is one way to say it is that that's the energy of finding chemistry with. So
Right.
there has to be the thing, the person, the something that you're finding chemistry with. There needs to be this other object or
Mm-hmm.
concept or
Right.
ideology or school of thought or
Yeah,
some
that's true. Yeah.
yeah.
I think also too, that big contrast with Ellie then being a 7, also throughout the series you can just see how easy then it is to make 7 the scapegoat for
Hmm.
like
Yeah, that's true
anything
too. That's
because of
good.
like
Yeah,
how honest and
that's good.
like a 7 acts on what they want, and they kind of shamelessly admit like those things. They
Right.
have their own mess of problems, as you like so intimately see in their relationship, but
Hmm.
like to other people as well. Like Ellie becomes towards the end like this scapegoat for them to sort of just blame all of the issues and
Hmm.
scandals going on and stuff like that, that even Beverly at a point is, I have to disown her. I have to like
Hmm.
distance myself from her for
Yeah.
this birthing center to be
Right.
okay. Like it's kind of
And that's because, by the way, that the relationship that Beverly's having with her girlfriend
mhm,
drives Ellie just completely insane because she's that um, whatever enthralled in her sister. I mean, there's a way that
yeah.
that it's a paradox too, because the 7 is, you know, like from one angle, absolutely the submissive on her knees to her 9 sister, and
Hmm.
just is like dying without her, and genuinely going towards psychosis
Yes.
without her, without that surrogate mother and that calm presence and so forth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
actual nourishment,
yeah,
because
yeah.
like a 9, regardless of what their own neuroses is, like a 9 is attentive to needs and is
Hmm. Hmm.
attentive to like what is calming and nourishing and healthy and stuff, like, in its idealist kind of
Right, right. Oh
sense.
yeah,
And for a 7 who's constantly going for things that are uh more not nourishing, but just fill
yeah, yeah.
the
Phil.
emptiness, fill the
Oh
like the sadness, the pain, the
yeah,
suffering, whatever. Like just get rid of it, just fill it, just whatever it may be. Yeah, like to be projecting the actual nourishment into her
yeah,
sister, to for that to leave, like for that to
yeah.
completely go away, you would go like if
Oh
that's
yeah,
the only source you think is available and the only source you think exists because it's not inside of you, it's out there,
yeah.
you're
But
gonna go insane thinking
well,
that that's gone.
and that takes me to one of the real highlights of the thing was this one woman who's a homeless woman who just has, probably, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most screen time,
Yeah.
and that they have these kinds of characters. I've seen just a few other movies. It's like a super condensed, embodied trickster character, like
Oh yeah.
just like spot on. There's been
Yeah.
other movies where there's a character that just has one little scene, and it's got this magic little skip of a magic thing that's like changing. It's sort of like in Jungian whatever psychology, where there's you have to have the trickster, you have to have Hermes
Yeah.
Mercury
And it
for
really just kind of makes you question the reality of like this whole
yes,
thing, this
yes,
person, these
yes.
characters. It's got to be
Well,
a little bit of a fantastical element.
that's right,
Yeah.
because that makes it sort of outside of reality to poke back in. But what's
Hmm.
amazing about this character, I mean, there's a bunch of things, but for me, um, but is that the stuff she starts saying to Ellie, the seven, it's exactly the worst stuff to say to the seven. It's like um, it's just torture. It's
Yeah.
absolute torture. And
It's
I
complete
yeah,
confirmation of their own dialogue
I
that
mean
they're
it's
kind of just
yeah.
always negating. Yeah.
Here's this is I the script right there was just, I mean, sometimes there's a little segment and I just have to capture it, and I wrote it down.
Uh-huh.
It's an older woman. This is when Beverly goes out of town. It's with her actress girlfriend, and it's the
Hmm.
first time. And this is what starts to just break the seven,
Yeah,
Elliot.
that well, and Elliot, like Ellie has this huge like house party, fucks up the whole house,
That's
starts
it.
breaking shit, and
Yeah,
this woman, homeless woman, comes in from the
comes in.
outside,
That's right.
and they have this scene where they're
On
sitting
the
on the
rooftop.
balcony together, yeah,
Yeah,
and talking, yeah.
yeah,
After
and
she just destroys her house, basically,
totally
like
destroys it. Yeah,
smashed everything.
she actually went to a disco that night and invited the whole club
Yeah.
back to their condominium. Yeah, high rise condominium. Yeah, and then I think before the homeless woman comes in, like Elliot had thrown a pot just randomly off that balcony,
Oh right, yeah, and that's what
and then
brings
the
her up.
woman shouts, yeah, and then they're sort of talking and stuff, and they're doing drugs together and stuff,
Yes.
and this woman, the woman is kind of a seven too, the elderly woman,
Oh yeah,
in a
for
way.
sure.
Yeah, and her name's Agnes, and she's talking about um, having, about Ellie having a twin, and
Hmm.
she's just directly addressing this thing of that being deprived thing of seven and the fear of
Okay,
it.
yeah.
And like, this is just sort of jumping into the middle of it. Uh, this is Agnes. Every experience, every high is half a fucking high. Ellie says, try double, you dick. Agnes says, every time you look at her, air. Agnes, every time you look at her, air gets punched out of your lungs, man. Depleting, junky, parasitic, slow death, man. Having a twin. Ellie says, no, it's double, it's double. She's like trying to stay up and not hear the bad thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's everything she gets, I get. And Agnes says, where is she now? Oh, she's fucking some actress in a saltwater pool. Agnes says, and you're not getting some of that saltwater cunt. And Ellie says, no, no, uh, no, double. It's double. I get double. Agnes says, you're full of shit. It's half. It's like constant multiple division. You're barely fucking here. No, I'm here. She's here. Agnes, she's not here. She's there, and you're barely fucking here because of it. It's a tragedy. Ellie says, "Shut up! It's Shakespeare." No, I'm here. It's Chekhov. I'm here. Some other dead white writer. I'm fucking here. You're barely here. I can barely fucking see you. You've been erased into double negativity. That's very good, actually. Good job, me. And then she's out, and then she's out there. She's found elsewhere. And you, what do? Disintegrate. You'll divide, and she'll multiply till she's whole and one, and you will quarter, and she's happy and you're gone, and she's living fucking saltwater cunt till she's a warm ache, good drugs, and you're nothing. You're fucking nothing.
That was
and,
beautiful, David.
and that's when Ellie pushes her off the ledge.
Yes, and that's
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
And then you,
She
yeah,
kills her. She can't stand
uh-huh.
it. Yeah.
Oh, that was been even rehearing that. That was great
Oh
because that
God, it's
whole like
just like
whole versus half thing and
yeah, yeah.
oh my god, great.
Imagine that as like an experience for seven. Just imagining that everything's getting halved and halved and halved, and
Yeah, as
the
you're trying
options
to
are
no, no,
cutting
no,
out.
double, double,
Double,
like that's
double, double. Yeah, it's like having convulsions. Yeah. Oh man,
That's
so good.
terrible. That
Uh,
is really good.
but I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Wow.
what's amazing about it is just how just like straight into the heart of the worst thing for a seven that is. I mean, just how
Yes.
intuitively accurate and correct that is,
Yeah.
as a, for whoever's writing the script or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
Well, I was
fucking
gonna
brilliant.
say too. Yeah, you have both of these twins kind of inside of you
I
with
do.
nine
I
wing one
do.
and a 7 wing 6. It's
Yeah.
7 wing 6, right? Your
Yeah. Seven
fix.
wing six is my second fix. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
like when I'm watching it, like I can really identify with Beverly's
Mhm.
character, and the absolute tension was just
Mhm.
beautifully the most accurate
Mhm.
feeling, just watching that kind of
Mhm.
tenseness you feel. And you're disturbed, and like you feel
Yeah.
like you're trying to do something but you can't, and like all,
Yeah.
but for you having both of these, you know types kind of inside of you, I can imagine the things that were being hit on Ellie's character were
Yeah.
probably like, I could tell how accurate it was just knowing 7 wing 6. But
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, um, sort of before I get to that, like,
Hmm.
um, one of the things that's for me a centerpiece also of the series is that there are especially there are a few different dinner scenes with different configurations of people, but there
Yeah.
are two main ones that are like really intense. They're the most difficult dinner party situations that you would ever encounter, and like the writers or whatever, or the writer just like really cranked it up into just all these awkward and difficult and horrible things and revelations about people that are happening at dinner,
Yeah.
and just all kinds of, I mean, just, well, so part of what I'm getting to also is just actually like the four wing three piece of me, which is like, I just love the unmasking of all the ugly. Like,
Hmm.
oh yes, like
Right.
just just oh, just let it bleed out. And you people are fucked up. I just love watching super neurotic people when they're really played well, and they're, it's totally
Hmm.
convincing.
Hmm.
And every single one of these people, and it is that, and it,
Yeah.
and every one of the characters and ancillary characters and so forth, you know, at these dinner parties, it gets cranked up at these dinners because, it just turns into arguments and stuff, and so everybody's, neuroses just
Hmm. They're all trying to prove something,
cranks.
and
Yeah,
they're just
yeah,
automatically just, shooting their own foot with it.
yeah, 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 and all kinds of difficult questions are being asked, and at one of the second one of the two that I'm talking about, the dinners, is the one where it comes out where Elliot says, this is when everyone's almost shouting,
Hmm.
that she mentions that she is the one that's responsible for getting the girlfriend for Beverly, and
Right.
and the girlfriend hears that, and she's like shocked, because it's not clear exactly that that's what was meant, and
Hmm.
and the girlfriend keeps saying, "What did you mean by that?" And she's deadly fucking serious.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
uh,
meanwhile, everyone's shouting, so like
yeah, yeah,
it's just
yeah,
it's so
yeah,
awkward. Yeah.
yeah, and the girlfriend's realizing that it probably is true, and now Beverly's sitting there next to her, sort of cranking up the passive nine wing one thing, and just horrified that this thing got revealed, and they are actually in love. She is actually in love with her
Hmm.
girlfriend, but it turns out that this terribly, flawed, whatever nefarious way of getting the girlfriend is what happened.
Right.
And yeah,
It's
it's just
rotten at the
amazing.
core.
It's got a rotten core all the way. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask what your opinion was on the ending itself. Because I probably for like 2 to 3 days after watching the ending just went into my own psychological spiral
Oh,
on
okay.
like
Tell me
what
about
it
that.
what it means metaphorically for the nine to be the one that sacrifices
Mm-hmm.
herself essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know sort of what elevation you're at in all of
mhm.
that.
Well, what did you think of the ending? I guess we'll start there.
Um, well, I thought it, for me, it was clever. what happened.
Yes,
You
it
know what
was
I mean? That was
clever.
a
Yeah.
smart, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, as far as, I mean, one angle, yeah, I don't know if I have a concise thing to the question of what did I think about the end. It was a satisfying ending. I mean, a lot of
Hmm.
great movies and TV series or whatever, you know, feels like it just kind of, it was, you know, acceptable, but,
Yeah.
but this was like a nice peak at the end.
Hmm.
Um, and well, one way to look at it too, though, is rather than self-sacrifice or the nine, you know, quote unquote, once again self-sacrificing, it's also the nine getting to be the one that escapes, and the seven
Yes.
wants to escape, you know, kind of
Yes.
in a way, right? I mean, the seven
Right.
wants to, I mean that metaphorically, sevens are always escaping, right?
Yes.
They want,
Yes.
yeah, escapists, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Well, and
and she
that's when
gets,
I found, like, I thought it was such an interesting ending because, yeah, you would think the whole time that the seven would be the one to die, and it turns out that it's
well,
actually the nine.
what I was going to say, the other thing too that's a part of that is that spliced, you know, throughout the series is what appears to be Beverly at a group council session
Oh, that's right.
for
Yeah.
people that have had, you know, deaths or whatever, family
Yes.
members, people that are close, and it's like a
Hmm.
support group, you know, one of those super mild mannered, you know, kinds of support groups.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you like to share something now today? You know, that
Right.
one of
Yeah.
those kind
Yeah.
of groups, and and it's ostensibly it's Beverly talking about her sister who died, and
Yeah. Hmm.
sometimes she's even saying stuff like, you know, like I don't know, like isn't it kind of naughty of me? I mean, this she didn't say this, but that I actually am glad that she's gone because now I get to do such and such or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Because
then so
she's
that's the
been a
other piece
burden.
there, right? Is that
Hmm.
you
Yeah. I forgot
that's
about
the other
that.
part of why you would think that it's going to go the other way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because it is like, seven, perfect scapegoat.
Yeah.
You fuck everything up, but you don't have the vision of this thing
Sure.
that, the pure kind of vision of this thing. And yeah, I've already, she's already been picturing the day that you die, essentially.
Yes, yes, yes.
and then and then it's actually the nine that ends up kind of being the one
Right.
to yeah, sacrifice slash just, yeah,
Get to
exit,
peace out though
escape.
too.
Yeah,
Like I'm out of here.
exactly. And that's what I spent so, like, a long time just kind of being like, what does that mean? Like,
When
not
you say
like,
that, what do you? Yeah. How
yeah,
do you mean
not,
it?
I guess just symbolically, because, like, I love looking at stories like, they're commenting on something happening in, like, the current psyche,
Mm-hmm, hmm.
and especially we've talked about so much about mother and, like, motherhood and womanhood, the body, femininity. Like, the
Right.
whole show is to, like, this, you're trying so hard to be conscious of femininity, but how can you
Yeah.
when your original concept, what is that is your mother,
No.
is gone, like,
Right.
as in, like,
Right.
your mother doesn't even have a connection to
Yeah.
femininity. So it's
Yeah.
like, so that's kind of the tragedy of the whole situation, and quite a current
Well,
collective
sure.
problem, right? So, like, what is the juice behind the nine being
Mhm.
the one that dies in the end, in the
Yeah.
collective psyche sense, like, is it the
Right.
acceptance of, like, the
Well, I
rottenness,
mean,
and
yeah, I mean, one place that I go to, I mean, there's a few symbols you could do there, you know, just sort of generically almost with it being the nine that must be sacrificed, let's say, which would
yeah.
be to sacrifice the sleep and the passive avoidance of the
Mm,
bad things or whatever or something like that,
right.
and the um well the not speaking up for all of your needs, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. Not that Ellie's as a seven is much better in a way, because I mean it's ultimately um, just generically like the a drought of love,
Yeah.
is really the thing.
Right.
Um, and that's the other thing too is about it. When you talk about the characters or the whole whatever aura of the show, there's an issue with femininity. It's also what's good about it to me is that it's like a really eyes wide open look at the dark side of women in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just the aggression of women. Because I mean, with men, aggression is more overt, right? And with women, it's
Right.
in relationships. It's
Yeah.
and
It's
it's and
right.
it's really fucking intense. I mean, it's
Right.
aggressive,
Yes.
and to get such a powerful look at that, in so many different characters that are doing it in completely different ways is
Yeah.
brilliant. Just something that's a counter to the whatever the generic idealization of woman as loving, compassionate, nurturing, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's why it's like it's a huge intimate look at that shadow
Hmm.
and how much it absolutely plays a part in things like in choices and in
Sure.
understandings of self and connections and stuff like that. And that's why, yeah, it was really interesting that um, Beverly kind of trying to hold this ideal of the goodness or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just I thought it was kind of a beautiful choice to kind of have her be the one to leave because it is just this like um accept this like kind of really dark acceptance of how
Hmm.
reality is right now. And you
Hmm.
think of like Seven Head Center deals with kind of maps of reality and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah,
And
that's interesting.
yeah, that it's like I kind of that's where my mind went first.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, we're getting rid of the body and now we're left with like the intellect and the head. And like that could be a
That's
whole
interesting.
dark
Sure. Oh
exploration.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Right.
I mean
Right.
that is where our culture kind of is as well, is just like more interested in the intellect than it is the
Hmm.
body. But it's also kind of like, it's both, but like
Hmm.
it's also Seven's innovative and assertiveness,
Hmm.
like you're saying, to actually like be in the world
Hmm.
and fight what is
Hmm.
being given to you in
Hmm.
this in a way if it's done
Right.
idealistically.
Yeah. One way to say it is that everyone has um, uh, baseline narcissistic needs, right?
Yeah.
Which are that's not a derogatory term in the slightest. What it means
Mm-hmm.
is being seen and being understood as you're being seen, and being seen, as much as another person could, or to,
Mm-hmm.
any given person who sees you well is still going to miss some things. But I mean, just that whole thing of yeah, just the seven, like all the different associations with type seven, narcissism in the more clinical or whatever pathological sense, but also,
Mm-hmm.
sevens and theater and show business and entertainment. It's very much, I'm the one that's on stage. You're looking at me, right?
Right.
It's that kind of energy. It's like completely the opposite of the nine that
Mm-hmm.
that has has shame about taking up space, right?
Right.
Just even taking up the actual space that their body fills. Just
Yeah.
right. It's like
Yeah.
I don't have the right to be in this, skin. Is it okay if I breathe now? That kind
Yeah.
of, right. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you
So
would think that like, that type of behavior has been attributed to like women and like the passivity of women and their own needs and like,
sure,
oh,
sure.
you're just here to kind of like serve
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
so sevens being quite a scapegoat collectively, but also like in a feminine kind of psyche is like, what, like you could just
Yeah.
demand what you
Demand.
want and what you
Yeah.
need, and
Yeah.
like even if it's not good for you at
Yeah.
all, like
Yeah.
you're just
Or
gonna
for the
do it.
others, even.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Or for
I mean,
others. Yeah.
like to me, um, uh, the word diva to me literally would not have come into being without. I'm thinking particularly like seven wing eight opera
Yeah.
singers, female opera singers, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the temperamental diva that, she's a baby. She wants everything she wants when she wants it and the way she wants it and the time she wants it. And you're
The
often, because it's
temperature she wants it at.
exactly, yeah. And because, it's frustration, it's looking for things to not be right, even when they bring you the
Yes.
thing, right? And then with the eight, it's got a more, it's like this person's volatile if I don't
Mm-hmm.
get them this thing anyway. So, well, just that word, if my theory is right, that
Mm-hmm.
the word itself came into being because of sevens, especially seven wing eights,
Probably.
then that's like the peak opposite
Oh yeah.
of nine. And you could do other opposites, but that would be one of the major opposites
Mm-hmm.
for
Well, and that's like, the real power, I think, of frustration, that is like, this isn't enough.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, there's a
yeah,
point of neuroses that we've
of
talked
course,
extensively
right,
about, but like in
in other
the
people besides me.
yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, right, yeah,
But like, the real gift of having frustration is like kind of not settling. I mean,
not
that's
settling.
one thing. Yeah, not settling, and not accepting how someone treats you
Hmm.
that isn't kind of like congruent with your own
Hmm.
sense of self or needs or wants or desires or whatever. Like you will just actively push to the side the things that are
Hmm.
not going to be aligned with that in a
Yeah,
way, and that can
or you're
be
going to
like,
speak up,
yeah,
right,
right, right,
right, yeah,
yeah, that it's like keeping mindful of yourself and
yeah,
being able to actually get the things that you want done, or like
oh
the
yeah,
visions that you see to happen. But this is, yeah, this show was like entirely the
yeah,
neuroses of that though.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
mean, it's been, I would call it, I don't know, from one angle, I don't care that it's unfair, but it's sort of an unfair advantage relative
Mm-hmm.
to opposing my nineness. Of course, there's going to be some way that my psyche's absolutely, I mean, I'm obviously a nine, a neurotic nine, like equally neurotic, whatever, to all the other nines or whatever. But there's
Mm-hmm.
a way that, you know, learning about my nineness in my early 20s, that because of having so much frustration in the terms of two fixes and the wing, that it was, I would say, probably considerably easier for me to make a practice of, no, that's not good. I don't
Yeah.
want that. Just like, that's shit. I don't, no
Mm-hmm.
way. I don't, I mean, I don't like this place. I don't like the colors. I don't like the music. Let's go. Turn the temperature down 1 degree because I'm starting to get a little hot, because it needs to go 1 degree lower. Just, all the diva shit, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
7 and 4, that's like, there's a lot of, what is it? Self-indulgent, uh, just uh, coddling yourself for whatever your
Mm-hmm.
immediate uh, responses are. And it's entitled is the word I'm looking for.
Yes,
Yeah,
there it
it's
is.
got it's got entitled. So yeah. Well, I don't know where I was going, but one thing I was going to say is, maybe shifting gears, but it's back to what you were talking about as far as the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know that the ending is exactly a um, example of this, so to speak. But in a way, you could say that with the seven becoming the nine, because she has to now play the nine the rest of her
Mm-hmm.
life,
Right.
that it's an integration of
Yes,
of the
that's
sisters. There you
I was
go. Okay.
going to say that,
Yeah.
like, what's,
Yeah.
well, not that exactly, but I
Mhm.
agree with that. What I was going to bring up yet is that aspect of them kind of like fulfilling their ideals in a sense, that like the nines, you know, dead now, so it's like the literal like returning to the womb that the nine is
Right. Sure. Sure.
consistently trying, you
Right.
know, because this, I think even just having a one wing, you know, there is that frustration with your holding environment. Like nines are
Hmm.
very grumpy and stubborn
Yeah.
when it's just not right, you know, no matter what
Hmm.
kind of fixes you have. And but whether or not you communicate that can be
Right.
very different, and how
Yeah.
you do. But yeah, so like just being giving up on the world, just like it's not ideal, it's not going to be how I want it,
Yeah.
like it's just I'm going to return to the ultimate
Hmm.
mercy and comfort of death. um
Yeah.
but also with the seven now in this kind of like you're saying, like it's she's literally, she has to pretend
Yeah.
for the her reality
Yeah.
now has to be completely shifted to pretend to be
You could
her
say that it's
sister.
a major limiting thing. It is cutting out her options, and it is.
Yes.
It's. Well, yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, she's sacrificing a lot in a way, right? Is.
Yes. Yeah. Major.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have to think, like, can you ever imagine, like, forcing a seven to be a nine
Yeah.
for the rest of their lives? Like,
Yeah.
it would that, like, that would have to be, yeah, a dedicated integration of shadow
Oh
for
yeah.
that to
Yeah.
be realistic. Because at one point you feel like they would probably crack, you know, like they could not take that. There's no way.
Oh yeah.
But
No, it would be. Um, well, that would be its own death, really.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you
Yeah.
think about it, if you play it through, for her to be the meek, mild mannered person who doesn't want to speak up and who, yeah, well, she kind of can't, right? Because, I mean, this is maybe going too far into what would happen, or imagining what would happen. But
Yeah.
if she did, you know, that would just, then people would quickly, easily start to suspect, you know,
Mhm.
that that they had done the switch at death, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's fascinating.
yeah,
Yeah, so she's like she's stuck
yeah.
then,
She's stuck, which is the worst thing for seven, because
which
like
is the
seven, like my metaphors for seven is running, like just keep
mhm.
running, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. Just
Double,
I
double,
can't,
double.
yeah, yeah, I can't stop. Yeah, that whole thing.
Wow, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, no, I mean that's one of those. Well, it's just one of the top whatever 3, 5, whatever uh, things I've ever seen because of
Yeah.
just how rich it is. Just every single character in every single direction and in so many different ways.
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that's that full. It's like
Yes.
symphonic. you
Yeah,
know,
and it's just so, I mean, as a social type, there's so much social commentary going on, and it's just
yeah,
done so well.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
the characters are so believable. Like I would love, I didn't do any research on, I saw that, like, you know, it was a David Cronenberg film in like the
Yes,
80s, and
yes.
actually
I saw
like,
that way back then. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, it was played,
Jeremy
Elliot was
Irons.
played by Jeremy Irons. Yeah, like I saw that kind of stuff. So I'd be interested in maybe even doing some research on like who wrote the
Oh
characters,
yeah,
even in
no,
just
whoever the
this
writer is.
season. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like that's a really accurate interpretation
Well,
of
yeah, it's
personality.
well, and it's somebody that is just so intuitive about just psychology in just so many different directions. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, and
Yeah.
just like, it's the kind of writer that, you know, like you hear book authors describe just, a character comes into being and the whole character is there. It's not
Yeah.
you, and you're just writing down what that
You're
character would do,
channeling
and it's
it.
just
Yeah.
happening. Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
it's that kind of writing, where it's just, yeah, just downloading whole babies.
Yeah.
Ironically, yeah, or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Wow. Well, that's good. I mean, we've been talking for an hour, 15 minutes,
yeah.
so that's
That should
great.
do the trick.
That should do the trick.